opposition of UPA era scam says the people of India trust him. Rahul Gandhi renews his attack on Prime Minister Modi over Adani after parts of his speech are expunged, accuses the Prime Minister of avoiding all questions, alleges Prime Minister Modi is protecting the industrialist. A day after Rahul Gandhi accused the centre of tweaking rules giving Mumbai airport to Adani, GVK denies the charges, says management decided to hand over project because it was running out of investor funding. Weeks after being hammered at Dalal Street, Adani Enterprises share jump 100% from a 52-week low, 4 days. Mid-cap stops rupees 2 lakh crores. Reports suggest China launched a fleet spy balloon targeting several countries including India and Japan. This as the US Army fishes out balloon remains from the Atlantic Ocean. Several injured after the leopard enters a court premises as forest authorities continue to hunt for the leopard. The Animal Welfare Board of India urges people to celebrate February 14th as Cow Hug Day instead of Valentine's Day, sparks netizen fury online. Death, destruction and devastation continues in Turkey and Syria. Turkey declares state of emergency. Over 11,000 people are declared dead. The Reserve Bank of India hikes the repo rate by more basis points to 6.5% in a bid to rein in retail projects as GDP growth for the next fiscal is pegged at 6.4%. But let's turn first to tonight's top story. Yesterday, the headlines were dominated by Rahul Gandhi's attack on Prime Minister Modi. Today, it was the turn of the Prime Minister to hit back, replying to the debate on the President's address. In a speech that lasted 1 hour 20 minutes, the Prime Minister did not mention Gautam Adani even once. He chose to completely ignore the alleged charges of a nexus between government and the business group. Instead, the Prime Minister put the spotlight squarely on the UPA era, the 10 years rule under Manmohan Singh, accusing the UPA and the Congress of having engaged in several corruption scams. He also listed out the achievements of his government and insisted that the people of the country will not trust the abuses that are being directed against him. He called it the politics of positivism that he represents versus the negativism of the opposition. Let's take a look at what the Prime Minister had to say.
लेकिन मैं देख रहा था कल कुछ लोगों के भाषण के बाद पूरा इकोसिस्टम समर्थक उछल रहे थे, पूरा इकोसिस्टम उछल रहा था और कुछ लोग तो खुश होकर के कह रहे थे ये हुई ना बात, बड़ा शायद नींद भी अच्छी आई होगी, शायद आज उठ भी नहीं पाए होंगे। चार से 14 आजादी के इतिहास में सबसे घोटालों का दशक रहा, सबसे घोटाला। और यूपीए की पहचान बन गई, हर मौके को मुसीबत में पलट दिया, हर मौके को मुसीबत में पलट दिया। जब टेक्नोलॉजी इंफॉर्मेशन और टेक्नोलॉजी इंफॉर्मेशन का युग बड़ी तेजी से बढ़ रहा था, उछल रहा था, उसी समय ये 2G में फंसे रहे। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष, इस बात को हिंदुस्तान हर पल याद रखेगा कि 2014 के पहले का जो दशक था, द लॉस्ट डेकेड के रूप में जाना जाएगा। और इस बात को इनकार नहीं कर सकते कि 2030 का जो दशक है, ये इंडियाज डेकेड है पूरे विश्व के लिए। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, थैंक यू शशि जी। चुनाव हार जाओ, ईवीएम खराब, दे दो गाली। चुनाव हार जाओ, चुनाव आयोग को गाली दे दो। क्या तरीका है? अगर भ्रष्टाचार की जांच हो रही है तो जांच एजेंसियों को गाली दो। सदन में भ्रष्टाचार की जांच करने वाली एजेंसियों के बारे में बहुत कुछ कहा गया। देश की जनता देश के चुनाव के नतीजे ऐसे लोगों को जरूर एक मंच पर लाएंगे, लेकिन वो तो हुआ नहीं। लेकिन इन लोगों ने ईडी का धन्यवाद करना चाहिए कि ईडी के कारण ये लोग एक मंच पे आए हैं। देशवासियों का मोदी पर भरोसा है, ये इनकी समझ के दायरे से बाहर है और समझ के दायरे से भी काफी ऊपर है। क्या ये झूठे आरोप लगाने वालों पर मुफ्त राशन प्राप्त करने वाले मेरे देश के 80 करोड़ देशवासी क्या कभी उन पर भरोसा करेंगे क्या? आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, वन नेशन वन राशन कार्ड देश भर में कहीं पर भी गरीब से गरीब को भी जब राशन मिल जाता है, वो आपकी झूठी बातों पर, आपके गलत गलीच आरोपों पर कैसे भरोसा करेगा? पिछली शताब्दी के उत्तरार्ध में, आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, पिछली शताब्दी के उत्तरार्ध में मैं भी जम्मू कश्मीर में यात्रा लेके गया था और लाल चौक में तिरंगा फहराने का संकल्प लेकर के चला था। और तब आतंकवादियों ने पोस्टर लगाए थे, आतंकवादियों ने पोस्टर लगाए थे उस समय और कहा था कि देखते हैं किसने अपनी मां का दूध पिया है जो लाल चौक में आके तिरंगा फहराता है। पोस्टर लगे थे और उस दिन वो 24 जनवरी थी। मैंने जम्मू के अंदर बड़ी सभा में कहा था, अध्यक्ष जी मैं पिछली शताब्दी की बात कर रहा हूं, और तब मैंने कहा था आतंकवादी कान खोल करके सुन ले। उस दिन मैंने कहा था आतंकवादी कान खोल करके सुन ले। 26 जनवरी को ठीक 11 बजे मैं लाल चौक पहुंचूंगा, बिना सिक्योरिटी आऊंगा, बुलेट प्रूफ जैकेट के बिना आऊंगा और फैसला लाल चौक में होगा किसने अपनी मां का दूध पिया।
Despite the Prime Minister refusing to join issue on the Gautam Adani question, Rahul Gandhi continues to hit out at him. Rahul Gandhi's remarks have been expunged from the Parliament reports, but Rahul Gandhi says he will continue to raise the issue, accusing the Prime Minister of shielding Adani. Listen in.
No, in fact, Prime Minister was shell-shocked. He was in shock and there was no answer. एक जवाब नहीं दिया प्रधानमंत्री जी ने। और मैंने कोई कॉम्प्लिकेटेड क्वेश्चन तो नहीं पूछा है। मैंने ये पूछा है आपके साथ कितनी बार गए हैं, वहां कितनी बार मिले हैं, तो सिंपल से सवाल थे, जवाब नहीं दिया। इट रिवील्स द ट्रूथ। हिंदी ये मतलब स्पीच से सच्चाई दिखती है कि अच्छा इंक्वायरी की बात नहीं हुई। अगर मित्र नहीं है तो ये कहते ठीक है मैं इंक्वायरी करा देता हूं। इंक्वायरी की बात नहीं हुई। डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री है, वहां पे शेल कंपनीज हैं, बेनामी पैसा घूम रहा है, उसके बारे में प्रधानमंत्री ने कुछ नहीं कहा। तो मतलब क्लियर है कि प्रधानमंत्री उनकी रक्षा कर रहे हैं, उनको प्रोटेक्ट कर रहे हैं।
देश के लोगों को भरोसा है मोदी पर।
हाँ,
इस पर आप क्या?
नहीं, वो तो ठीक है। मतलब मेरा कहना है कि ये नेशनल सिक्योरिटी का मामला है, हिंदुस्तान के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का मामला है। प्रधानमंत्री को ये कह देना चाहिए, ठीक है हम इंक्वायरी करेंगे, चेक कराएंगे क्या है इसमें। बहुत बड़ा घपला है, मगर वो भी नहीं बोला। तो जरूर वो उनको प्रोटेक्ट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, मैं समझता हूं, मतलब उसका कारण भी है। थैंक यू।
क्या होगा फिर आगे?
Okay, you've heard from Prime Minister Modi. We now turn to an opposition voice, Mahua Moitra, the Trinamool Congress MP, who's created a stir with her fiery speech in Parliament yesterday on the debate, the speech that's gone viral. Appreciate your joining us, Mahua Moitra. You, among others in the opposition, seem to focus on the alleged relationship between Prime Minister Modi and Gautam Adani. The Prime Minister today has ignored all of that, refused to even mention the word Adani, refused to in a way respond to what he calls our baseless allegations, politics of abuse. How do you respond?
Rajdeep, this kind of attitude is what has got the BJP into this mess in the first place. If you remember, I brought up, and these are not allegations, these are very valid questions with proof that I had started asking way back in 2019. I had started with asking the SEBI, the Finance Minister, the CBDT, the Central Vigilance Commission, and I had asked everybody on record in letters. I had asked parliamentary questions, and they continued to ignore it. And they continued to ignore it, and obviously the thing snowballed into where we are today, where you have technically a follow-on public offering of 20,000 crores, which is large by any standards, and that's pulled from the stock market. You have SBI, you have LIC, which huge exposure. Both of them have 36,000 crores and 27,000 crores of SBI debt, and something like this is 100 billion of market cap wiped off in 6 days. This is a completely over-leveraged company. That's not even the main point. The point is that this is a company that has got shareholders as Mauritius funds as shareholders. These foreign portfolio investors, these FPIs, they have common common address, common company director, common company secretaries. And when you ask the SEBI who owns this, SEBI has no answer. They have 50,000 crores minimum of Adani stock. And Adani is buying airports, is buying ports, is buying things which require MHA clearance. Now, if we don't know who owns the stock, how can you give this company security clearance? So these are very valid questions that we have asked. And I never for 1 minute have said that the Prime Minister is involved. I have said yesterday in my speech that the Prime Minister is being fooled. I said that we've all been topi-panau.
No, 1 minute. No, 1 minute. Let me quote exactly what you said. You said, Honorable Prime Minister, this man, Mr. A, has topi-panau'd you. He travels
Correct.
with you on your delegations. He meets heads
Correct.
of state on visits to India. He portrays that India is Prime Minister and the Prime Minister is India. He
Correct.
makes it appear to the world that he is the remote control behind the PM, and by obliging him, you will be obliging the PM. Effectively, you're saying there's a quid pro quo. Now you're telling me on the show you've not directly attacked the Prime Minister, but by implications, inference, guilt by association, you're attacking Prime Minister Modi.
1 second. That's exactly what I've said. That's exactly what I've said. What you've read out is exactly what I've said. I said he's topi-panau'd. He's topi-panau'd you. He's topi-panau'd you. Because this man is traveling with you everywhere. Everyone thinks that this man is close to you. So if he's not close to you, tell us he's not close to you. Tell us he hasn't traveled with you. Tell us that he hasn't got any deals because of you. Tell us that you have nothing to do with it. Tell us who owns these FPIs. Tell the SEBI to do an investigation. Tell the CVC to do an investigation. Ask for a court-monitored investigation. Give us the answers. There's no problem. Otherwise, how can you let a person who is so blatantly accused of all of these things?
But there is...
Because it's very clear. It's very
Mahua
clear.
Moitra, we are a country with an independent market regulated SEBI. These questions have to be addressed by SEBI. Why should Prime Minister Modi come to the floor of the House and address them?
Rajdeep, when we have asked the SEBI these questions, Rajdeep, yes. I think you all have been sleeping for the past 3 years. Have you been sleeping? Where do you get off with your aggression against me? Have you been sleeping for the past 3 years? I've asked SEBI this question in 2019. I've asked it in 20. I've asked it in 21. I've asked it in 22. I have put all those letters out on the public domain. SEBI has not even given a reply. When Hindenburg filed an RTI with SEBI, SEBI said we haven't reached a logical conclusion. This is a government that is, please let me please, you can't be sitting here and telling me that the Prime Minister is not a person who controls this government. This is a one-man government. This is a one-man government. And here the regulator has ignored everything. The DOPT rules clearly
Does he control
say
SEBI?
that, well, the government is headed by the Prime Minister and the SEBI reports to the government. The SEBI reports to the government. We don't have a presidential form of government, Rajdeep. Who does the Finance Minister ultimately report to? The Prime Minister and his cabinet. Please understand. So when SEBI is ignoring a parliamentarian, when the DOPT rules say very clearly that when a parliamentarian asks a question, it has to be answered within 2 weeks. And I have written letters ad nauseum to all the regulators and nothing has come back. I mean, why are you guys making it out as though we are in the dock? We are not. We are not in the dock. We want everything to come out in the open. It is a fact.
I'm not making out...
It is a fact. There are four things that you need to bring out. It is a fact that this company has gone 10x to 20x in the last 2 years. It is a fact that this company has gone from being nobody in infrastructure to being the top player in every single infrastructure. It is a fact that this company has got Dhamra port without a tender. It is a fact that this company bid for 6 airports and then declared force majeure and AI accepted a delay in payment. It is a fact that this company has FPIs based in Mauritius that own 50,000 crores worth of Adani Enterprises stock, which we don't know who it belongs to. It is a fact that this company claims to have 25% free float, but this free float is controlled by few shareholders linked to the promoters and 40 shell companies. These are all facts. It is a fact that his brother sits in Dubai and his own shell companies and these related party transactions have not been disclosed. It doesn't require a rocket scientist to say all of this. Hindenburg hasn't said anything that we haven't been saying all along. So what we are saying is we need answers to these questions, and that's what it's about. And if this is a government that speaks about everything, this government talks also about the length of somebody's beard, it talks about my handbag, it talks about just about everything on the planet. So it strikes me as extremely funny that this government is keeping absolutely mum on the most important thing in this situation today. Where you have had a stock market, like even after the budget, they said they gave a good budget.
Mahua Moitra, it's also a fact, Mahua Moitra, that Gautam Adani has infrastructure and business interests across 22 states, including West Bengal. It is a fact that the red carpet has been rolled out to him in your home state of West Bengal. It is a fact that Mr. Gautam Adani also got benefits when Congress governments were there, particularly in Gujarat. It's a fact that most state governments need physical infrastructure and that capital that can only be provided by the private sector. It is a fact, therefore, that while you attribute it only to Mr. Modi, there will be others who will say Mr. Gautam Adani is simply someone who's been there at the right place at the right time.
Look, if he's won something by tender, and he's the highest bidder, and he's won it, nobody's saying anything to that. If there is an open tender and he's won it by highest bidder, are we saying anything about that? Not at all. Has he won Dhamra by tender? When I asked a question, when IOC can build a 5 MMTA terminal for 5,500 crores in Ennore, why were IOC and GAIL prevented from bidding from Dhamra? Why was Dhamra handed to Adani without a tender? When I wrote a question in Parliament, the answer came back to me that no, it was not granted by tender. It was granted by prolonged commercial negotiation. What does that mean? It means no tender. Had he won it by tender, we have no problem. He won the 6 airports by tender. He bid the highest. We have no problem. He bid the highest. He won the 6 airports. But then if you bid the highest, then why are you declaring force majeure? And you knew it was COVID time when the auction was happening. So the other people factored in the lower traffic and bid lower. You bid higher, you outbid everybody else, and then you say I am going to enforce force majeure and delay payments for 3 months. How does that work? How does that work? If he's got something free and fair, we have no problem. Please understand, we have nothing personal with Mr. Adani, Mr. Barsani, Mr. anybody. We have no problem. This is nothing personal. Please understand, this is nothing personal. I was an ex-investment banker. I have the greatest respect for anybody who's doing good business. But I cannot for the life of me sit here and back a situation where the government of India is handing away ports and infrastructure which requires security clearance to a company that is round-tripping and routinely having shell companies and Mauritius-based funds hold stock which should be in the free float. This is a basic corporate governance issue that any regulatory body of any country should look at.
I presume you're speaking here in your personal capacity as an MP, or are you speaking as a representative of the Trinamool Congress? Does the Trinamool Congress also want a JPC like the Congress?
Do you
or is
think,
the Trinamool Congress...
One second, Rajdeep. If I were a personal person, if I were Mahua Moitra walking my merry way on the street, I don't think you would ask me on your show. As far as my party is concerned, I am not here to talk about anything what the Congress does or doesn't want. The Trinamool stand has always been that we want a free and fair investigation into this. We want a Supreme Court monitored investigation into this. Yesterday, our party went and demonstrated outside LIC's headquarters. Today, we have demonstrated outside SBI's headquarters. Both Mr. Kalyan Banerjee, the chief whip of the party in Parliament, spoke about the issue, as well as I spoke about the issue. When we speak in Parliament, we are doing it on a party platform. So our party stand is very clear on this. We want to know why PSU undertakings, why the LIC, why the SEBI were involved in this company, why they put public money at stake when investigation was not completed. And we would like the truth to come out. We are not in favor of a JPC because my party does not believe in JPC.
You're saying you want
Supreme Court investigation.
Ma'am, you're saying you want the truth to come out. There will be those who will say at the moment, including the shell company charge that you made, are in the nature of allegations. They are yet to be proven. It seems at the moment that until those charges are proven...
Rajdeep, that's not correct. Why are you peddling this
story? The government says, where's the criminality? You saw what they said yesterday.
One second.
You saw what they said yesterday. Please show us the documentary evidence.
Rajdeep, I have shown the documentary evidence. It is on Twitter. The minimum 6 funds, Elara, Elara, Cresta, I have named the funds. These funds, 99% of each fund's assets are only Adani stock. They own no other asset. Cresta owns nothing else except Adani stock. Cresta is Mauritius funded. For 11 years, it has not bought or sold the stock, no matter what it went up or down. I'm asking a very valid question. We have put this out in the public domain, that they all have the same shareholders. They have the same company address. They have the same. This is all in the public domain. Why are you buying into their lies that we need to provide documentation? We have provided documentation and still the SEBI is not moving.
How do you then interpret the Prime Minister's complete silence on the issue today? He just refused to engage with any of you on the issue.
This is a Prime Minister that has refused to engage with the press in 8 years on anything. And you all have accepted it. You, the media, hound us outside our houses. Today there was somebody outside my house in the morning at 8 o'clock. You hounded the previous Prime Minister till the end. Right? You called him all sorts of names, and you guys have silently accepted the fact that this Prime Minister had not done one press conference before you would fight to go on the Prime Ministerial plane. Please tell me, who goes on the Prime Ministerial plane nowadays? Nobody. And you all accept it. So, this is a Prime Minister that has not spoken to the media openly without a teleprompter. Nobody's got an interview with him in the last 8 years, and you're sitting here and telling us that he doesn't accept our thing. He doesn't talk to anyone. He's Vishwa Guru.
He hasn't done a press conference. He's done a few interviews, never done a press conference. But in conclusion, Mahua Moitra, today the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi, Prahlad Joshi, Parliamentary Affairs Minister, wants an apology from you, saying you used unparliamentary language. What's your response to him?
Oh, really? He's going to be a long time waiting for that one, I can tell you, because before he asks me for an apology, he should ask his MP, the not so honorable MP from Delhi, who did nothing but jump up and down like a monkey yesterday, trying to heckle my speech, which all of you saw. So I think he should first ask his MP to apologize and to get his act in order before he comes around, because if he's waiting for my apology, he's got a long time waiting. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, Mahua Moitra, you're as fiery as ever. And as I said, your speech has gone viral and has created quite a buzz. I appreciate you joining us and giving us your perspective here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's raise the big questions tonight. Has Prime Minister Modi's image been dented in any way by what's happened? Will the silence on Mr. Adani work for Prime Minister Modi? Is Prime Minister Modi simply the most trustworthy leader in the country even today? Have Rahul Gandhi's attacks hit the target? And will there now be no probe into the Adani crisis? Just some of the questions that we'll raise today after that parliamentary debate. Joining me now, Syed Zafar Islam, the BJP's former Rajya Sabha MP and spokesperson, and Syed Nasir Hussain, the Congress Rajya Sabha Chief Whip. Appreciate both of you joining us. Syed Zafar Islam, the Prime Minister, in a speech that went on for more than an hour, simply refused to use the A word. How does one interpret it? Silence over Adani? Is this, in a way, a debate the Prime Minister doesn't want to enter into because it could prove embarrassing, or because the Prime Minister simply believes that these are not allegations worth responding to?
Well, after 1 hour speech, more than an hour speech, the Honorable Prime Minister has exposed Congress Party completely. All the baseless allegations he has responded to, and whatever was warranted, he had spoken on the floor of the Parliament. That clearly states what is important for everyone to know, that the people of this great country have a lot of trust and faith in his leadership. The world acknowledges that he is a great leader.
But how has
the people of India acknowledge.
How has he responded to allegation by not speaking?
Sorry, go ahead.
How has he responded to the allegation by not using the word Adani? How has he responded to the allegation by not using the Adani word even once?
Rajdeep, you have to understand, there are many businessmen in the country. All these concocted stories of Congress Party, when they know very well that whether it's Adani, whether it's Ambani, whether it's Birla, whether it's any other businessman of this country, had a lot of association with Congress Party. They did business during the Congress regime, and they are doing business today during NDA regime. We do not have any direct association with anyone. It is the opportunity for everyone to grab, and those who can sniff opportunities are grabbing those opportunities. It is unfair to make this kind of statement when their own chief minister are having lot of business transaction, in the sense that they are doing it for the state, and you are making this kind of a statement when we have no direct relationship with any businessman. Businessman is there to work, to identify opportunities, work to their advantage. As long as they don't do any unfair practice, they are free to do. And even if somebody does, it is the authorities, it is the regulatory bodies, the regulators. It is their job to investigate and punish anyone who commits a mistake or crime. But this kind of a unwarranted statement, which is being made by Rahul Gandhi on the floor of the Parliament, does not warrant any reply. Yeah.
I will try one last time. Are you telling me that there is no special relationship between Gautam Adani and Prime Minister Modi? Right through the 2014 election, he used an Adani plane. Mr. Adani's fortunes have risen exponentially in the last 8 years. You're saying this is all a coincidence?
Let me tell you, you understand financial market very well, Rajdeep. If a global investor is investing in any particular company, is it our mistake? It is their faith in the company, their balance sheet, their strength, their businesses, their business leaders, and of course the country where they operate. I mean, if you just analyze about their business, 75% of the 65% of the debt is actually been raised from the global market. And the capital market, where they are investing in the capital, he is raising from the capital market, and when the investors are investing, they do their own due diligence. You know my background. I know exactly that every investment invests based on their own due diligence. They do not rely what the information memorandum speaks, but what they have their own analyst, and they do market diligence, financial due diligence, and legal due diligence before making any investment. And then he has a saga of investment. So, and many quality investors are there across the globe.
I will try one more time.
I'm not commenting about his business, but all I'm saying,
I will try one more time. Mr. Zafar Islam, I will try. Mr. Basically, okay, I will. Yeah. I will try one last time. When 6 airports are given to one individual, albeit through a tender process, but despite objections raised by the departments in the Ministry of Finance, how are we to see it? Do you believe that this warrants some kind of an inquiry, investigation, response, a detailed response? Is silence a response? My point is, today the Prime Minister chose to be silent. What does silence suggest?
You know, the credibility and credentials of Honorable Prime Minister and the entire government is not only been acknowledged that is a clean government by the people of this great country, but across the globe, that this government does not believe in kickback, middlemen, and all the unfair practices which was followed by UPA government during the period of 2004 to 2014. So they stand exposed. It is their government during their tenure. India was the weakest in the eyes of the global investors because they felt that India is among the 5 fragile economy. Why? Because there was a lot of corruption. It was a country which was believed that the politicians are fraud and fraudsters, and Congress party was seen as a party of scam and scamsters. I mean, with this kind of image, you cannot attract any investment. You cannot build image of the country. But today, if you see, you must be feeling proud that the image which has been built in the last 9 years.
Right. Let me bring in Syed Nasir Hussain. Syed Nasir Hussain, Zafar Islam has a 2-line response, it appears. One, he believes the charges are baseless and therefore deserve no response. B, he's saying the Prime Minister commands so much of trust and popularity, he therefore is going to the people of the country, he doesn't need to respond to the opposition. Your response?
See, the report that is there in the public domain, is that baseless? Existence of shell companies owned by Adani's relatives, is that baseless? Out-of-town contracts and tenders have been given to Adani's groups in the country and outside. Is that baseless? Adani travels with Prime Minister Modi to every destination where Prime Minister goes. Is that baseless? Did Adani go to Australia? Did Adani go to Sri Lanka? Did Adani go to Israel? Did Adani go to Bangladesh? The moment he lands with the Prime Minister, he gets a big contract in this country. Is that baseless? What has been reported in the CAG report in Sri Lanka, where it is mentioned that very important person, the head of the state.
Where is the corruption? The government,
exactly, that is
the government is saying, where is the corruption?
That is corruption. If you are giving, now if somebody is if there is no due diligence that is being done, if there is no due diligence that is being done by the public sector banks and LIC before giving money to a company which is having shell companies, is that not corruption?
Now, how
Who
do
is
you know that?
influencing this?
It's clueless.
Who is getting him the money? Who is getting him the contracts?
Is a clueless
You
man.
cannot give more than 2 contracts of airports in the country. How does he get 6 contracts? How does he get 6
No, Syed Zafar, he did not intervene with you.
In the sector where he doesn't have experience. Did he have experience in defense? How did he get contracts in defense? The Prime Minister speaks about everything in the country but doesn't speak anything on this issue. Why is the government running away from JPC? Let us have a joint parliamentary committee. दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो जाएगा. Now the problem with this government is whenever there is a scam, they skip it.
Syed Nasir Hussain, Syed Nasir Hussain, there are Congress governments. There are Congress governments, whether in Rajasthan, whether in just a minute, sir. Sir, whether in Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh or Maharashtra, there are Congress governments, the previous Maharashtra government, that have also engaged with the Adani group. You can't treat the group as a pariah. It's a business group which wants to invest and grow big. Now, is that a crime?
Rajdeep, we have always said that private sector should thrive. There should be healthy competition. We are not against corporate sector. But when a few corporate crony capitalist friends are being supported by the people, those are there and they at the helm of the affairs, and in turn they are being supported. Where is the money? Where does the money come from? Where the BJP spends in the elections? पानी की तरह जो पैसा बहता है ये कहाँ से आता है? What is being donated in BMK? Why is it not being audited? How much money is these crony capitalists paying in PMKs? Where did the officers of the BJP, right from block till the national level, all officers has been constructed, corporate style officers. Where did the money come from? So this quid pro quo And the kickbacks that BJP and its leadership getting from these corporate friends is something that has to be investigated. There is a scam. There are shell companies. CBI, ED, IT was used by this government to target, harass, blackmail and torture the opponents. Where are those agencies now? Don't you think there is money laundering that is happening? Has the ED gone out and said that we'll go?
Okay,
we'll
so you've made your argument.
Or to the shell companies?
Producer,
so why is this government running away from this responsibility?
Can I now get...
Second argument that is coming is, Mr.
Okay,
Modi
you're
is
saying
popular.
the government is running away.
Popular
Okay,
and unpopular.
you made the argument. Producer... Okay, let me bring in Rahul Srivastava. Rahul Srivastava, all of this is building up, of course, to 2024. And today the Prime Minister's speech appeared virtually like an election speech. He seemed to suggest, I am a Prime Minister who's talking the language of positiveness. Judge me on my own record. The opposition is practicing the politics of negativism and abuse. Are we seeing in a way a similar narrative to what we saw 5 years ago when Rahul Gandhi picked up Rafale, called the Prime Minister Chaukidar Chor hai, and the government claimed, look at all the beneficiaries of our various schemes, vote for us because of that. Are we seeing a repeat of 2018? How is this different?
Completely, Rajdeep. On the very first day when this issue started hitting Parliament, I had said that this has striking similarity to what happened 5 years ago. And if it is the Congress or the government which has to do things differently to change the narrative eventually. Now, if you see what has happened, that Rahul Gandhi challenged the credibility of the Prime Minister, wanted to hurt the credibility of the Prime Minister. He tried to build a narrative. He brought an issue which is being talked about. He brought it to Parliament. Now, that serves his politics at this moment to attack the Prime Minister. Usually the speech of the President on the address is largely to attack the government on policies and schemes and others. Rahul Gandhi brought an extraneous issue which is there in the political domain. Now, that was his constituency. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, interestingly, has attacked Congress, has tried to say that you are saying that I help the billionaires, I am helping the billions in the country. Now, the Prime Minister has taken the narrative to the public that there is, between your charges and me, there is the janta, which I have brought dividends and benefits and others. Eventually, see what is happening, Rajdeep. Rahul Gandhi has delivered a speech which was like a political election rally, and he has made his point and he has positioned himself. At the end of the day, after this session is over, what will you remember from this President's debate? Rahul Gandhi's speech against the Prime Minister and Modi's speech targeting Rahul Gandhi and nobody else, in which Modi has said usually what he says. These are the two templates. Modi has given a template.
But it didn't work. But Rahul, it didn't work 5 years ago. Will it work today?
What they have eventually done is...
It didn't work 5 years ago. Will it work today?
Each other. They have created a battle between each other. And that's what they wanted. Opposition is there. But eventually what it is happening? Rahul Gandhi has positioned himself against Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi has targeted Rahul Gandhi. One needs this battle. The other one is finds this more suitable.
Okay, but it didn't work 5 years ago, Rahul Srivastava. Very quickly, can it work this time? It didn't work for Rahul Gandhi. You see, the Prime Minister is claiming that this is the politics of negativism. The country doesn't want to hear this negative politics constantly targeting me, anti-Modism. A quick response is, can it work this time where it didn't work 5 years ago? Is Adani different to Rafale?
See, Rajdeep, there are similarities because one, share market, 3% people, it's a notional loss. That loss is about to happen. Is there corruption? You ask the right question. Is there somebody losing money right now, barring Adani? Adani is not living larger than life. I think it can work if Congress can sustain it, if the Congress can bring out more facts, tell the public on the ground that this is the possibility. Otherwise, Rajdeep, if you look at it, the government, by not mentioning, not once, is trying to show that it's not bothered about what has been said. It will go on its own way. And I think it was helped also by the fact the Prime Minister was never going to mention the word Adani or talk about it. The expunging of the remarks from the Rahul Gandhi speech also helped the Prime Minister, because once those remarks are expunged, 18 points, Rajdeep, those remarks have been expunged, means the Prime Minister doesn't need to reply on that.
But the fact is, therefore, Nasir Hussain, and a quick answer to this again, is that the Congress at the moment seems to be working on innuendo hearsay. GVK gave up their contract, gave it to the Adanis because of an ED IT raid. Now, at the moment, GVK has denied that. So, where is that smoking gun that you're going to use to directly link the Prime Minister to Mr. Adani in an example of criminality or, dare I say, even cronyism? You will have to give more than just innuendo, surely.
Rajdeep, see, what suits Congress party, what suits Rahul Gandhi, what suits us in the election is something which we are not interested in. What we are interested in is, there is a scam. There are shell companies. Out of turn, tenders and contracts have been given. Laws, rules have been bent or tweaked to help some crony capitalist friends. There is public money which is involved. It is not just the government money, it is also the public money which is involved. The investment in LIC and State Bank of India and other financial institutions is done by the public. That money is involved. How can you come out with the facts? How can you come out with the truth? Say JPC, inquiry, something has to be done. The Prime Minister cannot come and say, I'll talk about everything in the else in the world, but not about Adani issue or this scam. Or the BJP comes out and says that we'll speak about something else, not about this issue. It is not about suiting or not suiting. Just 1 second, Rajan. Rajan. Hold on.
Let me therefore bring in...
Hold on, Rajan. Please allow me to speak. No, please allow me to speak. Give me 10 seconds. So it is not about suiting someone or not. It is about an issue. There should be an inquiry. Is the government ready to face an inquiry or not? मैं इतना ही कहूं, सरकार क्यों डर रही है, जेपीसी से क्यों भाग रही है?
Okay, let Syed Zafar Islam answer that. Syed Zafar Islam, in the past, particularly when the BJP was in the opposition, the BJP would also have used to often demand for an inquiry on any issue where they felt that there was an element of corruption. Now, surely the allegations of shell companies, of money laundering, of round tripping, of flouting of exchange listing deserve at least an inquiry in and some level of transparency. The Enforcement Directorate seems to raid people for much less. People are raided and arrested for allegedly keeping liquor which they got through crowdfunding of 20 lakhs and 30 lakhs. And here we are talking of crores and crores of rupees. Is the government saying that there should be no inquiry, no investigation? Why not have an inquiry investigation? Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. Opposition talks about chemistry and the Prime Minister is answering about physics.
Rajdeep, I'm sure you understand the financial market, and so does the senior leadership of the Congress as well. When any businessman, if he raises money from the capital market overseas, what is the role Indian government, or for that matter Indian agencies are doing, or Indian financial institutions are doing? If they're raising 65% borrowing from the overseas market, means they have a lot of trust in his balance sheet and his business and the cash flow modeling, that they know that it will sustain, it will service that debt. Unlike
sir, the allegation,
2006 to 2012, when Indian banks,
sir, you're diverting the issue. You're diverting the issue.
Just a second. Listen. No, I'm telling you, I'm comparing the two. When between 2006 to 2012, when balance sheet of nationalized bank was ballooned 3 times, from 18 lakh to 52 lakh crore, all those loans were distributed here to Indian companies which had no quality track record, which has no sound balance sheet, and most of the debt which was given, 67% out of this 32 lakh crore loan which was given during that time was actually was NPA from day 0, because none of them had enough cash flows to service those debts. So this
is not a time for water boundary.
When somebody
I will not, sir,
from offshore and bringing it here.
Okay, you're saying prima facie. Okay, prima facie, you're saying there's no scam, therefore no inquiry, therefore no need to respond to the opposition. The opposition is saying the government and Prime Minister is running away from the issue. Rahul Gandhi, Rahul Srivastava is saying we're seeing a repeat in a way of what happened 5 years ago. Let's leave it there. No, I've run out of time. Thank you very much, Zafar Islam, Syed Nasir Hussain, Rahul Srivastava, for joining me here on our Talking Point. Let's take a break at this point. When we return, just a bit more. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
तो जैसे सबसे तेज आपकी टैगलाइन है, तो इसी तरह से सबसे तेज हमारी सरकार की लाइफलाइन है.
Thank Mr. Puri.
I thank you for giving me the chance to address you.
Terrorism now a global issue.
The First Lady position is so unusual.
Never in my career did I ever see that love and affection in any other country than we saw in India in 79.
Pakistan has been responsible chronically for association with sponsorship of terrorist groups.
Hi.
Hi.
ये तो फुल लाइन मार रही है मुझ पे. क्या बोल रही? Hi.
From wacky one-liners to some light-hearted cheesy dialogues.
वाला हाय था.
Looks like Ranbir Kapoor is all set to charm his way into his fans' hearts courtesy his new rom-com Tu Jhooti Main Makkar, the trailer of which went viral in no time.
Lovable, humble, respectful, romantic, प्यारा.
प्यारा और lovable same होता है.
मैं दोनों हूँ. हिंदी में भी.
With healthy dose of intimacy, the film stays true to its name and also manages to stick to the genre. This Love Ranjan directorial also stars Shraddha Kapoor, making it her first collaboration with the filmmaker as well as Ranbir Kapoor.
एकदम अच्छी ड्राइव है, मजे करेंगे.
गाड़ी खराब हो गई और होटल में सिर्फ एक कमरा हो तो मैं जमीन पे नहीं सोऊंगा.
तू बिस्तर पे सो जाना, मैं जमीन पे सो जाऊंगा.
Ahead of the trailer launch, the star cast, including Ranbir Kapoor, Shraddha Kapoor, and filmmaker Love Ranjan, was seen posing for the cameras. During the same, Ranbir was also seen adding a piece of heart to the puzzle.
किसी मासूम के दिल से खेलने का नतीजा क्या होता है?
Tu Jhooti Main Makkar is all set to roll out in cinemas on March 8th.
खेलते हैं.
Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
कदर ही नहीं रह गई दुनिया में प्यार की. मेरा तो दिल कर रहा है कूद के मर जाऊं. इतने फ्रिवलेस हो चुके हैं लोग. छी.
Welcome back. You are with the news today. Let's turn to the latest from Turkey, where the quake toll continues to rise and rescue workers are now fighting against time to find and evacuate more survivors in Turkey and Syria. While adverse conditions and testing rescue workers, many stories of miracles are also emerging. India has rushed more relief to the two affected countries. Have a look at today's special report from Turkey.
Death, destruction, and miracle survivals. As rescue efforts crawl in the face of many obstacles, what's emerging in quake-ravaged Turkey and Syria are stories of human resilience. This 7-year-old girl shielded her young brother from the debris in a Syrian city for 17 hours. When rescue workers reached the two, she implored them to save them.
تلعبي ألعاب؟ لك شو؟ آلاء يا آلاء طلع أنا مع أنا ولا كلمة آلاء أحسن منك.
Finally, they made it out safely. In northern Syria, rescuers digging through rubble discovered a newborn girl who was still connected to her mother's umbilical cord. The baby survived, but her mother was pulled out dead from the ruins. Cold weather is hampering relentless rescue operations. Relief workers are racing against time to pull out survivors from rubble before they succumb to the weather and aftershocks. Meanwhile, the Indian Air Force has sent a fourth aircraft with relief material to Turkey. The Indian Army has also mobilized medical teams. New Delhi has rushed to help Syria as well.
Reiterate the solidarity of the Indian people and the government with the people of Syria. So we are also planning to send life-saving equipments and medical assistance and drugs at the earliest for the people of Syria who are affected by the tragic earthquake.
The Indian External Affairs Minister said the country stands with humanity while assuring help for the quake hit.
Dost helps each other. And then, as I said, I used this expression first 2 years ago when Turkey sent 2 carriers loaded with medical assistance to India during COVID time. Now exactly the same happens in Turkey. So we are dost, we are friends, and we help to each other. And we appreciate our help, of course.
Thousands are dead in Turkey and Syria in one of the worst earthquakes to hit the region. And the death toll is only getting bigger. Bureau Report, India Today.
That's it on the show tonight. Just a reminder that Friday night, 8:55 p.m., we'll be with our first elections on my plate in this new year. We'll be in Tripura, where the battle lines are being drawn. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar. Try some of the puri sabzi. This is going to be my political breakfast. How many seats are you out of 60?
I always say about 50.
The mood of Tripura is against the BJP.
और 5 साल देखना है क्या होता है. There is no democracy at all.
Pradyut has decided to give me extra sticky rice. PK Chai Tripura Wali. Great Indian tradition. Something everyone is asking. The Hindenburg research report says Adani is the biggest con in history. What do you think? You've gone and detailed it in a fantastic blog post. Now share your views with our viewers. Do you think that Adani is a con or not?
I think that's hyperbole. I mean, a con to me is something where there's no substance. A Ponzi scheme is a con. There's nothing there. The entire objective is to fool people, separate them from their money, and leave them poor. And I don't think Adani fits that description. I think it has too much substance as a company to be a con. And I think, in a sense, what Adani has done in the interests of preserving control has fed into the Hindenburg reports. Okay, so the reason people are willing to listen is because of some of the actions that Adani has taken, not so much because they wanted to con people, but because they were so interested in preserving control at the company. It's sometimes in their zeal to keep control at companies, I think family groups get a little carried away. They take actions that are not about ripping other people off, it's about preserving control. And when I look at Adani's actions, even if everything in the Hindenburg report is true, and it might not or might not be, it could still be contested, what I see is the picture of a company that is so focused on family group members keeping control that it's probably cut corners, taken decisions that are designed to advance it on that objective. But to call it a con, I think, it's hyperbole. So short sellers do it all the time. I'm not surprised the Hindenburg report does this, because I've seen short reports before. They have to catch your attention, and it did, right? And you see that headline, you say, oh, there must be something here that is essentially designed to rip off people, so let me go see what it is.
So the first answer to the FAQ, you're saying the Hindenburg report is hyperbole when it says Adani Group is a con job, but the group could have cut corners in your view. Let's turn to the second most frequently answered question, Professor Damodaran. The most serious allegation in that report was of stock manipulation, of using inter-party, inter-family transactions to perhaps make the company look more creditworthy, and importantly, create a maze of shell companies controlled by family members and thereby, in a way, engaging possibly in round-tripping and a violation of rules. Do you believe that these allegations in the report are serious enough to merit a proper investigation?
See, I don't know. The web of shell companies, it's unlikely that the Hindenburg report made it out of thin air. Because this is, I mean, in fact, as I read the Hindenburg report, I went back and checked prior reports in the Indian press. Almost everything in that report is, in a sense, almost in the public domain. Nothing there was something people say, I'd never heard of that before. There are 6,300 companies in Mauritius. It's a company with $11.5 billion GDP. You're saying, what the heck are 6,300 companies doing in there? This is a place where Indian businesses go, and we can debate that this is moral or ethical, or the Indian government knows this, right? It's been trying to crack down on it. So is it possible that the Adani Group has 38 shell companies in Mauritius? Yes.
मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी से पूछूं कि आप चुप क्यों बैठे? आप हर एक को डराते हो, लेकिन इनको क्यों नहीं डरा रहे? जो लोग नफरत फैलाने की कोशिश करते हैं, अगर आपकी नजर उधर एक तरफ गिरी तो वो ऐसा बैठ जाएगा, नेक्स्ट मेरे को टिकट मिलने वाला नहीं है समझ के वो बात बंद करेगा, बोलेगा नहीं। लेकिन आप चुप्पी साधने के वजह से और आप मौनी बाबा बनने के वजह से ये परिस्थिति घट रही है। 2014 में प्राइम मिनिस्टर जी एक बहुत बड़ा बात बोली या जुमला बोली, कहा था ना खाऊंगा ना खाने दूंगा। लेकिन मैं आपके सामने चंद उद्योगपतियों को क्यों खिला रहे हैं ये मैं पूछना चाहता हूं। एक देखिए, एक मोदी जी साहब के नजदीकी दोस्त की दौलत 2.5 साल में 13 गुना बढ़ गया। 2014 में उसका 50,000 करोड़ रुपए थी, 2019 तक 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए हुई। अचानक ऐसा क्या जादू हो गया कि 2 ही साल में 12 लाख करोड़ रुपए की संपत्ति आ गई। मुझे समझ में नहीं आता, इतना फास्ट डेवलपमेंट। हाँ, ये क्या दोस्ती की मेहरबानी बोलना? क्या आप उनसे फिर क्यों साहब?
The naval variant of the indigenous light combat aircraft on board INS Vikrant. Watch these images, the maiden landing of the fixed-wing fighter on the carrier, which is as part of operationalizing it, which was also followed by a MiG-29K. And this truly demonstrates India's capabilities to design, development, construct and operate indigenous aircraft carrier with the indigenous fighter aircraft. Take a look.
देश के पहले स्वदेशी विमान वाहक युद्धपोत आईएनएस विक्रांत पर देश का पहला स्वदेशी लड़ाकू विमान एलसीए तेजस उतरा है। इस पर बात करने के लिए हमारे साथ वाइस चीफ वाइस एडमिरल एस.एन. घोरमड़े सर हैं, आपसे जानना चाहूँगा कितनी बड़ी घटना है खासतौर से मेक इन इंडिया को लेकर?
ये हमारे देश के लिए एक ऐतिहासिक क्षण है और अत्यंत गर्व की बात है कि जो हमारे आत्मनिर्भरता का विजन है उसको हमने आज साकार किया है, क्योंकि देश का जो स्वदेशी जहाज है LCA नेवी और ये प्रोटोटाइप जहाज है उसको आज इंडिजिनस एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर पे लैंड करवाया है। ये एक महत्वपूर्ण उपलब्धि है जो हमारे इंडियन नेवल पायलट्स ने की है, क्योंकि आज हम एक इंडिजिनसली डिज़ाइंड डेवलप्ड कैरियर पे हम एक इंडिजिनसली डिज़ाइंड एंड डेवलप्ड एयरक्राफ्ट लैंड किए हैं। तो ये बहुत ही बड़ी उपलब्धि है।
Nightmare quake bleeds Turkey. Heartbreaking human tragedy unfolds. Images of suffering, hope, and redemption. As India helps Turkey pick up the pieces.
At the Istanbul airport, there are a number of search and rescue teams that are waiting to get to Adana, to Gaziantep, to Marash, to some of the worst affected areas.
India Today reports from ground zero.
This is a team of specialists. Their aim is to get to a difficult area.
Only Indian channel in the quake zone.
Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from Adana in Turkey. I'm Gaurav Sawant. This is one of the worst impacted areas of the earthquake. The death toll sadly continues to rise, and a large number of ambulances like these are now lined up, not just to take those who've been rescued, but also to be on standby to be able to provide immediate relief to those who are being pulled out of the debris of a very large number of buildings that have collapsed after that earthquake. Right here at the Adana airport, a number of rescue teams are coming in from across the world. Indian Air Force teams, NDRF teams, apart from Indian teams, there are teams that are coming in from other parts of Turkey, from France, from different parts of Europe, and various other countries across the world. The situation extremely grim. People, of course, extremely worried about their loved ones. People of Turkey, they're coming in from all over the world to look for their loved ones. I caught up with some of them at the Istanbul airport earlier today. I bring you this report. At the Istanbul airport, there are a number of search and rescue teams that are waiting to get to Adana, to Gaziantep, to Marash, to some of the worst affected areas. And right now, waiting for a flight to Adana with us is this team from France. This is the urban search and rescue team from France. And with me is Jonathan. Jonathan, when did you arrive here in Istanbul?
We arrived like 1 hour or 2 hours ago, and we are waiting to go to Adana. So we are waiting with for the flight and with the other rescue team that are